And the question that we received that was really, the one probably I get more than any when it comes to people with family in Canada is, when applying through express entry, do you need to disclose your relative that's living in Canada? And there may be a number of different scenarios. Scenario one, you've got an uncle or aunt. You're not going to be claiming any points for them. You don't need, the 5 points for the federal skilled worker program. So that's fine. So do you need to disclose that or not? Because it doesn't make a difference. Option two, well, you have a sibling in Canada. And yes, you're going to get 15 CRS points for having a sibling in Canada, but you don't get along with them. And that sibling is not really interested in giving you anything to support your permanent residence. That happens. So an uncooperative family member, or you're not getting points. Those are the two things that people ask me all the time. If those are the situations, do I need to disclose it? So if I go into the express entry profile and I'm entering that information in, and I have that uncle that's really I'm estranged from, do I need to disclose that? Well, the answer is yes, you do. And when we look at the ultimate question that I received, and I'll just read it for you guys. My sister's a permanent resident in Canada, but I don't want to claim points for it. Should I answer no to the question, do you have a relative who is a citizen or permanent resident of Canada? Would it be considered misrepresentation? So back to what I was getting at with the questions here, you guys. The reality is, yes, you do need to disclose. And the reason you need to do that is because you have to answer truthfully to all the questions. And if you answer, no, I don't have a relative, or I don't have and what we're talking about relatives is really like uncle, aunt, parent, sibling, like close relatives, not your distant third cousin, 4 times removed. Ultimately, these are family that would be considered to give you potential points within the federal skilled worker program, or family members that are a sibling in the context of the comprehensive ranking system, because that's where you're getting points. So immigration wants you to answer the question. If you do not answer this question correct, then yes, it could be determined that you have misrepresented on your application, and ultimately get a 5-year bar and have your whole application rejected. That's great, right? You're saying, thanks, Mark. Great tip. I need to answer. Well, what do I do then? Because if you answer it, it's then going to create in your document checklist a spot to upload proof that that person is a relative, that they live in Canada, that they're a Canadian citizen and permanent resident. So all those things are being triggered. Well, what if you can't get them? That is something that I cover a lot in my express entry course. And the DIY course, what we talk about is, and what I teach my students in there, is that the letter of explanation is the secret sauce. So if you're unable to get documentation that you need, then in that case, you're going to upload a letter of explanation saying, hey, my sister, I do have a sister. This is her information. She won't give me anything. We're estranged, but I'm just letting you know. And so that's how we deal with it. And in the express entry, a step-by-step course and guide that I have, we go through in detail how to develop those letters of explanation, how to really massage those areas that are tricky so that you're in a position to be able to disclose as best you can, and have an officer say, okay, I understand you don't need the points. I can assess. It doesn't play a role, so you're good to go. But you need to be careful. You guys really do, because if you are not, you could run into a huge problem if an officer knows you have a family member or discovers it and you didn't disclose it. And the worst thing in the world is to be subject to a misrepresentation finding and then have your whole dream of immigrating to Canada, poof, disappear. All right. So that is the feature question for today. Hopefully it was useful. Now,